council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. Mr. Tellos, you want to give us an update on our Q3 goals?
Yes, sir. Mayor, council members, under the Q3 goals, we're making a lot of progress here. The comprehensive plan is substantially complete. We've pulled back some of our zoning and subdivision regulations to do a more thorough dive on that and get more public feedback. So I anticipate the comprehensive plan, when I think about that, as the document that you've all seen, we had a presentation on from KPS. What we're working on now are the changes or potential changes to the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. As you've had an opportunity to sit down with staff, we would also like to afford that opportunity to the impacted business community, from home builders to contractors, and whether it's electrical, plumbing, HVAC, whatever, to make sure that we get the best ordinance that we can back to you, so that you get the least amount of pushback from whatever the proposed changes might be. The transportation budget has been, for public transportation, has been complete. You were all briefed on the 29th of our budget plans. That was included in the budget, as well as the FY24 onboarding under HR. 5-year capital plan was also done prior to the budget meeting and included in your budget packets. We had engaged the firm for Wayfair signage. Their assessment is complete. Their final report, I do not have a copy of that, but we'll send it out as soon as we get that. Land Bank and Redevelopment Authority, as we've discussed before. The Redevelopment Authority, there's no issues to do. It's just whether or not you would like to establish a redevelopment authority. And then the Land Bank, we have a target of January of 24, and that's based on when the most amount of properties. If you recall, I think we have to have 100 tax delinquent properties to establish a land bank. That will vary from year to year, but January would be the time where there would be the most properties available to do that. And if you'd like to proceed, that would be the appropriate time. Chief Davis, I'm going to let him, I talked to him briefly about where we're at on the stakeholder meetings, and we've made some progress, but we've also got a few limitations on that, and I'll let him talk to you about what those are.
As I mentioned to you once before, we've already had one stakeholder meeting, and that went very well. The problem that we're running into is whatever decision you'll make with the information, I want to make sure that we're not creating a bigger issue. That going back to like I told you that those that actually would put the alarm systems in could refuse to do so based off of NFPA 72. If you're good with me continuing to make sure that we're okay with this on the front side, that's what I intend to do, is just to find out what the liability level is. I've communicated with the State Fire Marshal, gentleman from NFPA, Harris Security. I've been getting a lot of good information, but it seems like a bit of a rabbit hole, if you want the truth. So as soon as I get that information, then I would like to continue on with the stakeholder meetings. Unfortunately, that's kind of put things back because I wasn't expecting. You would think if nothing is mandated, the whole world would be happy to at least see some type of protection. That does not appear to be the case. So as soon as I can get an answer for that, we can move forward with the rest of the stakeholder meetings.
So I guess I'm a little confused. What?
The idea of putting in a system that might not be to the level of NFPA 72, right?
So what's NFPA 72?
It's the National Fire Protection Association standard for fire alarm systems. So IFC does make mention of 72. 72 is exactly the reason why these companies are stating that they can't put in a system that is not to the complete commercial level, which obviously costs 4 to 5 times more than the option. So I'm trying to get around that. Now, Harris Security was very helpful, and Rayner was extremely helpful with the idea of, okay, as far as our office is concerned, we are not going to get in the way of you putting in this system. And that backed off some of the companies a little bit. They seem pretty happy with it. The problem would be is if somebody was compelled in any way to put that system in where it does not meet commercial guidelines via NFPA 72, that could open up a great deal of liability for the city.
Okay.
That's the answer I'm trying to find out.
All right. Any questions of Chief Davis on that? So we're just waiting for more information.
People to call me back, more information, more meetings than I expected, and then I should have something to tell you. Time frame, I don't know. That's dependent upon the experts that I can get to communicate with.
All right.
So on the bid for phase 2 of the PV Park project, as I mentioned before, we're going to postpone bidding that. In fact, the recommendation that we have moving forward based on our budget constraints from the bond proceeds is to we're looking at doing that project in-house, or the majority of it. It'll change the scope of the project significantly, and what I mean by that is to get to the desired result, I think we can get soccer fields or multi-purpose fields, the walking track, those kind of things, but we may have to phase in lights at some point in the future for the fields. We may have to pave a parking lot in a future year. But I think within the remaining budget amount, we can accomplish what we're intending to do, and then phase in as the budget permits the other accompanying items that would enhance the development. So, we may find that after we're complete with City Hall renovations or other things that we have some additional funds remaining. And then you can decide what to do with those funds. But to keep it in budget, that's the process that we're going to go on right now, is to get fields, the restrooms and area over there kind of remodeled and renovated instead of tearing it down and building new. Complete the walking trails, and to have some crush and run type parking like you might find on the lower level by Johnny Henderson Park on the initial phase, and do a lot of the grading work ourselves. So in the budget, you saw some equipment that would allow us to do that. It's involving GIS equipment to put on our equipment. And so then our labor and our equipment would be doing the grading work, and I think we can reasonably accomplish that in the same time frame for a significantly cheaper project cost. For the sidewalks to budget in FY24, as it stands right now, and I think we've talked about this, but we had a difficult time finding a contractor that would bid on the project. In fact, we only had one when it was awarded. Getting on a timeline for that contractor to actually do the work for the sidewalks for this FY has proved challenging. So I would anticipate potentially in October that we could start on some sidewalks, but we've spent $0 of this year's FY money. So I think the reasonable thing to do would be to just encumber that and roll it over into next year's budget, and do the projects that we had already anticipated doing. I don't know that even if we put it back to bid to do additional sidewalks that we could get someone to bid on them in a reasonable time frame. And so that's one of the reasons that we pulled that out of the FY24 budget. But if you'd like us to consider adding that back, that was just one of those projects that we're trying to address the sidewalks that we know are in poor repair, maybe a walking hazard, or maybe we have a right of way but don't have an actual sidewalk there now. I don't know what you would call that, but there's some cobblestone areas that are brick areas that are exposed that are our right of way, particularly along I don't know if that's Lee Street, going towards Corks and Cattle. in that area, which creates some additional drainage problems over there. But there's really nothing to walk on, but that's really city right of way. And then there's some areas over on Edwards that we've marked with yellow paint that we'd like to try to do, and that's kind of the scope of our project. Additionally, we've had some water contractors in recent weeks really start to tear up a lot of our sidewalks and streets in the downtown area. So we also think that it would be good to wait and see how many more of those sidewalks get torn up in which areas. They may be doing us a favor in some cases, or we may find that we put a sidewalk up and then they tear it up. So we're trying not to do double the work. Now they're responsible to fix that, but it still doesn't make it any better to spend good money on something we know may get torn. For the Public Building Authority to get City Hall under construction, we're still waiting on that to begin here next month in October. Staff has already started the process of vacating the building for the areas that will be in phase 1. Wastewater treatment plant consultant, we have done interviews, well, not face-to-face interviews. We submitted RFPs out, got those back from, I believe, 5 different contractors, 5 different proposals. And the last time I talked to Barry Mott was last week about this, and he had a panel of staff members, I think Reggie Marsh, Shannon Roberts, himself, and the mayor, that were going to sit down and interview the top 3 candidates to vet them. Pickleball under construction, that is under construction now as we speak. Spec building at the airport under construction. Material has been ordered. The big lead time on that was the hangar door. I anticipate some of the earthwork to begin as early as next week, but certainly in the next 2 weeks. So that should be roughly complete if you count. I guess it depends on what you count as construction started, but a lot of the materials have already been purchased and we're just waiting on them to be delivered at this point. Transportation plan, so phase 4 streets is in the FY24 budget that we'll be bringing to you at the next council meeting. Bid is set to go forward on September 26th and work to start in October. And then new city website and app. The website is live. The app should be going live sometime this month. And business license fixes, Leanne and I spoke a little bit about that. We'll have a recommendation for you more than likely in October, a second meeting in October.
All right. Any questions to Jonathan on this update? All right. We'll move forward with our review of our council meeting agenda. Go. Turn with me in your packets. So we'll, of course, start the meeting with a roll call, opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, and approval of the agenda and our consent agenda, which consists of the work session minutes from August 15th and the council meeting minutes of the same evening, then accounts payable A and B, contract billings from CDG for the pickleball court, Ewing Connor for the demolition project, and KPS for the contract planning services and the zoning map. Then some travel requests from the administrative department, police department, and tourism department. Anything on the consent agenda that y'all need to pull out or have any questions of staff on? Pretty straightforward tonight. Then we'll have a special presentation by the mayor to Matt Routley, or Mayor Cooper and Matt Routley will have a special presentation. And Main Street Hero Award for Main Street, privilege of the floor, and staff reports. Then we'll get into our old business. So we've got a ABC license request public hearing tonight from KPS LLC, doing business as the Rawls. Then our new business, we've got to approve our financial audit, which was presented in our last meeting. And we've got to authorize the mayor to execute professional services agreement for barge for the new corporate hangar. Barry, anything we need to know about that?
Yes, sir. Just to remind y'all that we were able to secure some federal funds for grants for that hangar project on top of the 50/50 state grant. We were able to pull some FA funds into that, which were a little over $300,000. With that, we need to follow the contracting mechanisms like we do for any standard FAA contract. So the contract that you had approved previously was from design all the way through bid. This would handle the construction administration and they call RPR, or inspection services, so they can close that project out and follow the FAA guidelines for the hangar project. But that allows us to get that extra almost $400,000 of grant money at a 5% match. So what you're seeing here is the construction phase services for that. The state has reviewed that. ALDOT has reviewed their contract. It is good with their scope and fee that you see in front of you.
All right, and the next item is professional service agreement with Barge also for Phase 1 ESA.
That contract that you have there is a requirement that came in for the land acquisition services for the airport runway extension. The FAA wanted us to do a environmental Phase 1 on some of the properties that were there. So they've already actually done the work. This is a contract for us to add that to the grant for the land acquisition grant. So that $15,000 again would be a 5% match for the city.
All right. Is this Macedonio tank radio tower item? Is it?
So we're getting a propane tank put there for the police for their repeaters there for backup. So that's just for the tank and to install there for their generator. So we're just helping the police department get that installed.
Gotcha. And then a work authorization for Barge for land acquisition services.
Yes, sir. That's just to follow up on one of the contracts that we needed to get done for land acquisition to clean up
for the
files.
same for the airport, right?
Same for the runway extension. Yes, sir.
All right, then we've got a change order for the pickleball courts. This is for the previously discussed fence extensions.
Yes, sir. That's for the extending the fence from where it was currently shown up to the kitchen line for all the courts there. So that was a price that was given to us earlier, and that's just following up so that we can get the contractor to go ahead and order the fence so it gets all ordered and put in at the same time.
What's the schedule on that project?
They've gone out there and they removed the asphalt off of the new site, and they've got some of the base stone there. And that's the same contractors working on our rec center, so I would expect them to start working on that in the next 30 days or so. Hopefully to have that thing finished by the end of this calendar year.
All right, then we're buying some storage units or storage containers.
Yes, sir. So those are some of the shipping containers that we that you saw at. We used one of those actually for one of the fire burn buildings out at the fire station. We need some temporary storage as we move out of City Hall for some putting things in and lockable. The police need one now, so we were able to. Both of those units are a little under $10,000 for that. So we were able to buy. We were asking to buy a smaller one, a 20-foot unit and a 40-foot unit. The police has already spoken up, so that they would like to have one of those units immediately for some of their material that's in the building until we can get back into City Hall. The other one would be used for just general storage for City Hall. As other departments get out and need a place to put things. We're using the incubator building. We're talking about putting these possibly at Mill Avenue.
All right, next
Police
item.
may put theirs at Coppinville. We haven't decided where that one's going to go yet.
All right. Next item is Phase 4 resurfacing improvements, FY24.
Yes, so we gave a list to Glenn. I'm going to put it right here. Request to seat bids. So Glenn's pulled that set of plans together, and he's back in the room if you have any questions there. But we're requesting permission to go out for bids on Phase 4. He's got me a final set to go through.
I assume Edwards is on that list. Okay. Barrow. Okay, the last two don't pertain to you, but any questions of Barry and all of those agenda items? All right. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
All right. As you see at the end, we've got 3 ABC license requests for Tacos El Valle. I'm sure I didn't say that right. The Barrel Room and Sixto Oktoberfest. So the first 2 are ABC license requests with hearings on September 19th. The third one is a request for a special events retail license located at 111 Easy Street. And Jonathan, can we you and I briefly spoke about this. We're going to handle this one a little differently, right? Because this is not an ABC license.
It's not. And so when we looked at it, and based on the timing, I think while you did the street closure, and I think if I was guessing, I think that the council will have no issue approving that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have agreed to close the street. But the business owner would really like that assurance before they go through the expense of advertising and selling tickets and setting up for the event.
So to get everybody up to speed, obviously these first two are our typical ABC license requests where we have a public hearing and we grant them and gives them. So Sixtel obviously has a license. This is simply a special event, which is
That's right.
So they're following the procedure of our local ordinance.
Correct.
In order to our local entertainment district ordinance. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so they're requesting that we address this one tonight.
That's right. And this is typically a one-off. I mean, we haven't really had a whole lot of
This is
requests.
the second one, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. I think one was in 2019, and that may have been preceding the entertainment district ordinance actually
Okay.
being ratified.
All right. So, any issues with addressing this special event license tonight? Everybody okay with that? All right. So we'll get that taken care of. The other two will obviously be laid over, just like they always are. All right. Any additions, deletions from the agenda? Everybody comfortable with that? All right. Turn real quick to the E911 board meeting agenda. So after our meeting tonight, we will have an E911 board meeting. You can see on the agenda, we're going to approve the minutes of the prior meeting, and then a few items of new business, a 911 consult contract, monthly payables, vehicle update, and an adjournment there, so we can address all that in our meeting. Any additions to that agenda? Everybody good with that? Okay. Are we not going to pass a budget tonight for 911 board?
I think that's going to be at the next meeting. I think we're going to have a meeting.
We'll
a
just
meeting
have
tonight
another 911 board meeting.
after the following council meeting.
Okay.
And part of that is there's a lot of work by staff that's got to be done now that we've had our budget meetings and heard from you. But I guess technically we wanted to make sure that we had everything right in Munis, and it takes some time to get that advertised for city clerk and CFO and their staff. Leanne, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah. That's fine. So we'll probably just have two 911 board meetings this month. Okay. It should be very quick. Yeah. All right. Back to our work session agenda. So, good segue into our FY24 budget, city budget.
Okay, so we will have the budget ready then for presentation and approval at the next council meeting. We are hard at work making the adjustments that we had all discussed at our meetings last week. I know there may be a few fine-tuning things that we will need, maybe to check in with. Jonathan and I are going through making those final adjustments on things that were approved but not included in the numbers that we had last week. So we'll be adding those items in. And in addition, we'll be going through the appropriations and updating some of the contracts that we have with those organizations so that we can get those to council and make sure that they're worded and include everything that you all wanted to be included in those contracts with the entities before we go with the new budget numbers. So.
Right. Okay. Any questions of Leanne, Jonathan?
But it should be, should be ready to go
Okay.
in 2 weeks.
All right, yeah, for benefit of everybody in the room, we met for the better part of 2 days last week, Tuesday and Thursday. So it's not like we're just throwing a budget together. We've
Long couple days.
we've had a lot of discussion, and thank you, Leanne, primarily, but also the rest of the staff for pulling all of it together. I thought those were 2 very productive days. So we should be well on our way to getting that budget passed. So any questions, concerns on the budget? All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Barry and Jonathan, you want to talk to us about staff movement and council meeting location changes?
So, council, for our part, the staff, as I told you earlier, is busy moving out of City Hall. Some of them have already moved. We're working right now. Talked to Emily at our staff meeting today and the mayor, just making sure that over the next few weeks we get a plan out, not just to the public but also to you and internally, because a lot of people are going to be in different places. And there may, hopefully not many, but there may be some, procedural changes that'll have to go on for the public that want to interact with, to do business with different departments here at the city. So as we get those finalized and know people's numbers if they've changed or where their desk is, or what those procedures may be that have changed, we're going to formalize those and get that out to the public in advance, as well as you and the staff, so that everybody knows where to go. And hopefully we'll have some illustrations, maps, those kind of things as well. Additionally, we are targeting the second council meeting in October for city council meetings to start at the Enterprise Civic Center. So some of you were able to join us today to look at the preliminary layout for the council desks. We have some work to do to put some conduit in at the stage at the Civic Center that will accommodate the electronics, speakers, microphones, monitors that will be in those desks. So once we get that installed and the work's complete, we'll go through a sound check, if you will, to make sure that all the audio-visual support items that are there look, sound, and feel like you want them to. So we're planning on October the 17th as that hard date to have that first council meeting, but that would be the only thing that I could see that may throw us off course. Any questions about that?
At some point, we've got to commit to announcements, hearings, all those things, right?
That's right. So well before that, I'll let you know, probably at the next council meeting. But I want to make sure that there's no hiccups when we're doing the construction work to put that conduit in, or if you come out and try the equipment and for some reason it doesn't work the way we wanted it to, we may be stuck here. But it shouldn't be too much longer after that, because everybody's got to be out of here to do the work that needs to be done here at City Hall.
Yeah. So that's October 17th, right?
Correct. And then, Barry, I was going to see if you might be able to talk a little bit about the movement plan here and where the departments are now.
Yes, sir. So just real briefly, for upstairs, the mayor's office will stay exactly where it is, will not be touched in the first phase. Also, the other wing on the other side, the water department, where water revenue, accounting, Leanne's office is not going to be touched in that first phase one. As soon as we can get out of the center part of the top section here, we'd like to get this room included in the phase one, but primarily the contractor will start working downstairs in the mechanical, electrical, HVAC, working on our systems in the building and getting those switched over. The dispatch will remain where it is through phase one till downstairs is completely done, and we go to phase two. Phase two means all downstairs is complete. The police center is complete. The new dispatch center is complete. We'll move dispatch down when we go to phase two. They'll move downstairs in their permanent location. At that point, everybody that's on the left-hand side with Leanne's office, revenue and all, they will be displaced so we can work on their wing. So we took originally a 6 to 7 phase project and reduced it down to 2 phases for the contractor, and that helped us tremendously get the schedule down and get the cost down as well. But that means we had to displace people. So for right now, what I'll tell you is the police are using an off-site location over at Coppinville. Engineering will be moving to the farmers market. We can't start moving until October 1 because they've had events booked up into that event through into September. So October 1, we can start moving over to there. So we've been working with IT about getting small cubicles set up there, and we're ready to move that as well. So we've got everybody on wireless. If you can imagine, some people are on still desktops. So we're trying to get everybody wireless so that we can move over there seamlessly. So they're ready to go as well. So for the first phase in October, water won't move, revenue will not move, accounting will not move. Police has already moved out of the building currently, so engineering has to move out next. E911 is also going to the incubator building along with HR. So they'll be in phase 1. HR is going to incubator as long with E911. So it'll be a little bit of a flux. I haven't got a complete construction schedule yet from the contractor for phase 1. I'm just guessing that's probably a 6 to 9 month construction period, and we're working through things like switch gears, electrical, HVAC, because some of those things have a long lead time, and we're trying to find out what's on the market that is an acceptable substitute to the plans to get things here, so that we're not waiting. We start on this project and have to stop for 3 to 4 months while we're waiting on a piece of equipment to show up. So we're working through that with the contractor currently. He's ready to get started October 1 if we're ready to let him go into the building. And what we've told him is he can have downstairs, with the exception of engineering, which I'll need 2 or 3 weeks to get engineering out of downstairs into their farmers market location. But I'll be glad to answer any questions you've got. It's going to be fluid. We're going to find something we didn't think about, I promise you. But we're trying to get the word out to the public about where we'll be and how we're going to function in that service, so we do not disrupt our service to the customers.
All right. Any questions of Barry regarding City Hall? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have anything else? All right. Council, you got anything you want to discuss before we recess? All right. Seeing none, we will take about a 25-minute recess before our council meeting at 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
My missing something. I'm like, I said that don't look like that's Main Street property. Main Street Road.
That's the Main Street. I don't see John Green.
No?
Shoot me a line. Okay, I'll call you after that. I'll call you after this. Okay.
Get your refreshments. I haven't seen him either.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 6 o'clock, so I will call this council meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. Is Dr. John Granger here? Don't see him. All right. Well, if you would, please stand with me for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. Councilman Padgett's going to open us up in prayer.
Lord, we thank you for your many blessings that you've given to this great city. Thank you for your hand of protection upon us. Pray tonight that you would give us direction and guidance to help make decisions for the best of our city as a whole. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Council, you should have in front of you our agenda that we discussed at length in the work session prior to this meeting. So I will call for a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the City Council. We'll now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Let the record show I'll be abstaining from voting because of the conflict with accounts payable B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we now have a special presentation by the mayor. I'll recognize Mayor Cooper and Matt Routley, Enterprise City Schools Maintenance Supervisor, for the presentation of a letter of appreciation to Shannon Roberts and Alan Mahan in recognition of their integrity, willingness to help, and work ethic.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening to everyone. Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of standing here with Matt Coughlin, who's the maintenance supervisor of the city, Enterprise City School. He is here to recognize two of our city employees for their outstanding work doing and helping with this district. Shannon Roberts, the Assistant Director of Public Works Department, and Alan Mahan, Field Superintendent for our water department. So I'm going to ask those two if they would please come up. And as they're coming up, both of these gentlemen are some of the hardest workers we have here in the city. And I'm glad to see them being recognized for what they do. Shannon and Alan are both very humble men and probably won't like this attention, but it's important to recognize folks when they go above and beyond what we are doing here tonight. Matt, would you please tell us a little more about why you decided to recognize Shannon and Alan?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for allowing me to be here tonight. As the Mayor said, I'm working in Enterprise Maintenance Department, School Maintenance Department. And in my 36 years with the Maintenance Department, I've been privileged to know many of the city employees. I can tell you, y'all are blessed and have many outstanding workers, supervisors, and directors. And I want to brag on Mr. Robert and Mr. Mahan. I've gotten to know them well for the last several years. Many times I've had to call them with different issues at the school system, everything from broken water lines to locating meter boxes to repairing potholes or sweeping parking lots, just name a few. But no matter what the issue's been, their response has always been the same. It's always been, how can I help you today? The world we live in, that's a rare thing to have somebody you believe really wants to help you. But it's even rarer to have somebody that you can trust is going to follow through what they say they're going to do. These two gentlemen have always done that. Not only have they kept their word, but most of the time they've gone well above and beyond what they've been asked to do. So I just want to thank them for their willingness to help the school system, their integrity, but most of all, for example, they set for all their employees with their excellent You know, I believe the city of Enterprise is definitely better because of leaders like these two gentlemen, also because of Mayor Cooper and your leadership. I want to thank y'all all for what y'all do for the city of Enterprise, especially what you do for the school system. So, again, I want to thank you. Yes, sir.
And, you know, Shannon and Alan both, you see them out there working with the workforce, regardless of whatever they're supervising, their men and whatnot. I have seen Shannon down in the ditch working as well as Alan, whether it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's 10 degrees or whatever it might be. They don't see any limitation in what they're doing. And also, I would like to recognize Matt there. He has done a marvelous job with our city school system and trying to supervise and making sure that our schools are taken care of. We have some of the best looking schools, I mean, cleanliness, that you'll find anywhere. If you don't believe it, go to Montgomery. This is not. Let me stop. I'll get a lawsuit.
Thank you, Mayor and Mr. Routley. Certainly much deserved recognition of Mr. Mahan and Mr. Roberts. Dr. Thomas, thank you too in the back for showing up. But yeah, I mean these 3 men right here are probably some of the most underappreciated men in the city. Both Matt on the yeah. Well, this is our meeting, so we. but they certainly keep things moving both on the school side and the city side. So certainly appreciate all that y'all do. Most of it goes unnoticed and underappreciated. But, all right, next item on our agenda is the presentation of Main Street Hero Award from Main Street Enterprise. I'll now recognize Main Street Director Mariah Montgomery and Main Street Enterprise board members who will present the Main Street Hero Award to the Enterprise Fire Department.
And I'm the Main Street chair this year, and I want to present the Enterprise Fire Department an award on behalf of Main Street Enterprise.
Come on, guys.
Somebody come around and read it all. Chief, this is one guy.
Some of the tall ones go over.
Some of the tall ones. Okay, Brian. Okay, Captain. We have a basketball team.
All right.
And I'll read it off.
You want to say your words?
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. The Main Street Hero Award recognizes a community leader, public figure, or an organization who has made an outstanding contribution to a local Main Street program in the last year. The Enterprise Fire Department sprang into action in the early hours of October 16th when a fire ripped through several downtown businesses along Main Street. 5 businesses and 1 residential structure was damaged. Without the efforts of the Enterprise Fire Department, that number could have been significantly higher. The firefighters did what they could to stop the fire from spreading to other connecting structures, including the nearby Historical Society building, which housed hundreds of volumes of newspapers and dozens of priceless artifacts, and countless photographs and historic documents. So on behalf of the Main Street Enterprise Board, we cannot thank you guys enough, and we really appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Chief can go back in.
I'm not leaving.
Sheila, you're gonna step forward just a little bit here.
Let me just say real quick that obviously this was a big deal, right? And we appreciate Main Street for recognizing that. I like it because I like to see our firefighters get recognized. You see me, you see other officers, but we could make all the right decisions in the world, and without these men right here, none of that becomes reality. And it would have been an entirely different story. So I'm extraordinarily proud of
Well, thank you, Main Street, and certainly congratulations to our fire department, much deserved. All right, now is the time of the meeting called Privilege of the Floor. This allows persons who are present here tonight to address the council on anything that they wish. I will say we do have a public hearing later on in the meeting, so if you see your public hearing on the agenda, this is not the time to address that. But is there anyone here who wishes to address the council tonight? All right, come forward. You've got 3 minutes. Just make sure you speak plainly clearly into the microphone.
I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. Can you hear me?
Pull that down, yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. It's hard to follow such presentations of honor with a somber one, and I really don't know what I want to say. But I need to say something. I can't just continue living the life that I've had to live the past few years. And I'm really here to speak about my life and what happened. Not going into complete detail, but I'm the expert of my life, quite the contrary to others' beliefs. I have not been told the truth about a lot of things in my life. And I was exposed to the truth when I decided to take my own DNA test. And it revealed to me more information that completely aghasted me. I say this because something happened when I was in a relationship with the director of engineering, Jared Alexander. I say that as active, even though I know he's not the current director, department head of engineering, but I say that because something happened with him. And I don't know what it was. I know he at least tried to tell me some things, and it shifted my life from at least sort of a life of bliss to complete chaos. I lost everything. And I know I've said this before in front of you all, but my home, my DNA, my family, relationships, my career, I know that I still have a career, and I know I am still known, whether it's an infamous way or a positive way. You know, I can't really control other people's perspectives, but I feel like I'm in a battle of, the patriarch with, I believe, the matriarch. And I'm right smack in the middle. I know that a lot of my ancestry and story is a lot related to this community. And I know that whether the community meant to be, I don't want to really call it deceitful or dishonest, that's kind of a negative overtone. They omitted things, and omitting things to me is hurtful. And especially when I'm asking questions. And like I said, I'm standing in front of you. I don't know exactly what all you could do. I have tried to contact as many people as possible, federal, Fort Rucker, local, counties, state, and I have not been able to get anywhere. And I feel like my identity is everything to me. You know, you all know who you are. You all have businesses. And what if you were locked out? You go to your work, a place of business, your social media accounts, your phone, and you just can't get into anything. What do? Do you sit down and you go to everybody and you ask, what is going on? And I know that you all know about, we live in a world that we have been conformed to think one way about life and death and consciousness. And I feel like that has been hidden from me. I've been kept as a two-dimensional creature, and I don't deserve that. I am intelligent, I'm hardworking, I am driven, and I deserve everything that I have worked for. I am a hard worker. I do not sit on my behind, and I don't expect anyone to hand me anything. But I know that I am worth a lot, and it's more than just financial worth. I'm a good friend, and I'm a good lover, and I don't mean that in any intimate sense, but I love to the deepest, and I would do anything for anyone, even a stranger. But I want to refer back to Jared Alexander, Director of Engineering, and again, I say that actively because that's where my life went, and I lose words when I say that because I'm shaking to my core right now. It's really hard for me to get up and speak with you. I was really in love with him, and I hate to say that, it's embarrassing. It's not a I've said this before, not a song lyric or a poem. I'm not trying to be romantic in any way, but it's true. And there is a lot of intimate photos. And I hate to bring this up in front of everyone, but like they said, we're adults here. And those photos were in my private information, and I had never showed them to anyone. And it's not really embarrassing anymore because I found a way to cope with it because it's natural. But I mean, it put me front row and center, and it's embarrassing because that would have never gone that way had I had complete control over my phone, iCloud phone number, and I don't know why anyone else has access to that. And nobody has given me an answer. You know, I went to the cell phone companies, and they basically were like, get a civil attorney. And I'm like, well, what do I approach them about? What am I fighting?
Ms. McGrath, are we?
Yeah. I know I said I'd be quick. Yeah. But that's where I am right now. I am complete limbo, and I am basically living life by a thread. And that's not what I deserve. And I don't know what you all can do. And if you would try to see something. I know I went to the chief's office and I spoke with the old chief, I guess. I mean, your version of time is completely out of order. I know that. But the current chief wasn't available. But I spoke with I don't want to call her secretary, but administrative manager. And she was very open to everything that I had to say. And I asked formally if someone could look into the fact that I do not have my phone. I have my business. Whether I'm associated with the television stations, WTVY, WDHN, that has nothing to do with me. If so, they need to speak that. And I know you all have a relation to them as far as public information, but that is what I think is where it stops. I am going to conclude. I'm kind of shaky. I usually can speak better. But yeah, I want to conclude with that. And if y'all can do anything, I can't continue living like this, and I don't deserve it. You know, I have given a lot to this community in any form, in all forms, and I speak for Tara McGrath, Tiffany McGrath, and I'm going to say Patty McGrath. You know, in my world, those people exist as different people from me. And if they don't, if I exist in an isolated position or personality, then I need to be able to be respected in that position as able to be over my finances, my name, my brand. I know people know me.
Okay.
And
your 3 minutes is
right.
well past.
I'm so sorry. Thank you all for your time. If you can do anything, I know I've said that plenty of times, please let me know. I don't know how you all would contact me. My phone number is compromised from me, but that's where I stand.
All right, thank you.
I will continue to come back and speak until this situation is resolved. I don't know what else I'm going to say, but I just want to let you guys know. But thank you all for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, we need to move on with our meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Any other privilege of the floor tonight? All right, moving on to staff reports. Any staff reports? Moving on to old business. Public hearing and consideration of ABC license request for the Rawls. Now call for Yes, I now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of a request from KPS LLC doing business as The Rawls for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 116 South Main Street. At the close of the hearing, call for consideration of the ABC license request. All right, so we will open that public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? All right, we'll now close the hearing, and I will entertain a motion to approve this license request.
I move that we approve the ABC license request as submitted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on to new business, the approval of the FY 2022 financial audit. I call for a motion to approve the FY 2022 City of Enterprise financial statements as presented by Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, LLC.
I move to approve the FY 2022 City of Enterprise financial statements as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll now authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Barge Design Solutions with the new corporate hangar. So I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Barge Design Solutions in the amount of $53,078 for construction phase services related to the construction of a new corporate hangar at the Enterprise Municipal Airport.
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Barge Design Solutions regarding a Phase 1 ESA. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Barge Design Solutions in the amount of $15,000 for 3 Phase 1 environmental site assessment reports in support of land acquisition at the Enterprise Municipal Airport.
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, now consider authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Thompson Gas LLC regarding the Macedonia Tank Radio Tower. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Enterprise and Thompson Gas LLC for the installation and rental of a propane tank to power the emergency backup generator for the radio tower located on top of the Macedonia Water Tower.
Move to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement as submitted.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider review and consider work authorization number 2023-01 for Barge Design Solutions regarding the land acquisition services. I introduce and call for consideration of Barge Design Solutions work authorization number 2023-01 in the amount of $19,000 for land acquisition services associated with AIP project number 3-01-0027-026-2023.
I move to approve the work authorization as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider change order number 1, Beasley Construction Services Incorporated, new pickleball courts. I introduce and call for consideration of change order number 1, providing for an increase of $8,454 in the contract price to Beasley Construction Services Incorporated for additional fencing in the court area at the new pickleball complex. Do we hear a motion?
I move to approve the change order number 1 as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the change order number 1 as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request for permission to purchase storage containers from Mobile Attic. regarding the City Hall renovations. I introduce and call for consideration of request from City Engineer Public Works Director Barry Mott to purchase 2 storage containers from Logistics Services of Alabama, LLC, doing business as Mobile Attic, for use during City Hall renovations. The total cost of the containers with delivery is $9,800. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the request to purchase as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request of permission to seek bids. FY24 resurfacing improvements, Phase 4. I introduce and call for consideration of request from consulting engineer Glenn Morgan to seek bids for FY24 Phase 4 resurfacing improvements. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the request to seek bids as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request to seek bids as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now introduce ABC license request for Tacos El Valle. I introduce a request from Tacos El Valle, LLC, DBA Tacos El Valle, for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 1016 Rucker Boulevard, and call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for September 19th, 2023. I introduce ABC license request for the Barrel Room. Introduce a request from 3 Plates LLC, DBA the Barrel Room, for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 2200 Ozark Highway, Suite B, and call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for September 19th, 2023. We'll introduce the ABC license request for Sixtel October Brewfest. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Sixtel Bottle and Growler House, LLC, doing business as Sixtel October Brewfest, for a special events retail license located at 111 Easy Street. Do I hear a motion to approve the special event license request as submitted?
I move to approve the request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the special event license as submitted. Is there any further discussion?
Turner said we were having a public meeting.
Yeah,
Doing away with that?
it was improper on here. We're not having a public hearing. This is just a special event license. Doesn't require a public hearing. Everybody on the same page with that? All right, with a motion and a second on the table, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, you have a report?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's hard to believe that it's now September. The new school year comes to routine. Let's all remember to pay attention to the buses, look out for the walkers that cross the guards. We want everyone to have a safe school year. You may have noticed that the sidewalk will be open South Main Street and downtown Enterprise. Now there are new barricades on the corner of East College Street and North Main Street. Please mind those barriers and only cross Main Street as a designated crosswalk. Speaking of downtown, tickets are now on sale for the annual Girls' Night Out on September the 3rd. All proceeds go to the Coffee County Family Services to help breast cancer patients in our area. Thank you again for all of the city staff and volunteers who made the inaugural Sweet Tea Festival at the Enterprise City Center such a sweet success. We're still waiting on the official head count, but we know thousands of you showed up to support this event, and we look forward to utilizing that space for future activities. Preparations are already underway for Spooky in the Park on October the 27th. Vendors are needed for the trunk or treat alley, and you will be a great opportunity to showcase your business or organization while connecting with the community. You can find more details on the Parks and Rec website. Speaking of website, if you haven't had a chance to check out enterpriseal.com to see our city's new website, you can also find a link to current job openings with the city as well as stay up to date with the current news and events. You can also follow the
Ms. Rich?
Glad to see everyone out tonight. Mr. Riley, thank you for your expressions for Mr. Mahan and Mr. Roberts. I certainly couldn't have expressed that any better. They are true gentlemen, and I say gentlemen because they are very kind. There's not a time I've called Mr. Mahan or Mr. Roberts and asked them to do anything that it wasn't done properly with a great attitude or with a follow-up. So it's very much appreciated, sirs, and I commend you tonight. And also to our fire department, they are just truly one of a kind. They're not only professional, but they're personable people. There was a back to school jamboree at the college a while back, and in the middle of the floor, you know, it was a DJ there, and you saw the firemen out there doing the flex with the people, you know, so, and everyone just went excited. So they are certainly appreciated, and their spirit is certainly appreciated. And thank you all of our staff that worked to prepare our budget in such a fine way. That was absolutely wonderful how you all have come together to make that the best process for us as possible. So thank you very much.
Mr. Goolsby?
Well, I'd like to ditto everything that Ms. Sonia said, but I'm not going to repeat it all. But I was glad to see the city school system to come and recognize Shannon and Alan for their work and their cooperation with the school system. And as far as the school system goes, this Friday night, I would like for you to come out and support the Enterprise High School football team. They'll be playing Central here in Enterprise. Central's 2-0 and Enterprise is 2-0. So come out and support them. Again, I would like to thank the engineering department for getting the sidewalk cleared downtown. It makes a big difference. And thank everybody for coming tonight.
Mr. Paget?
By the time it gets to me, Sonia and Eugene have already said everything, so ditto, ditto.
Mr. Johnson?
I'd just say ditto too, but thank you for everyone coming tonight. I always like to thank our folks, community citizens that are watching us online. And these two gentlemen, just the tip of the iceberg of what we have as city workers. And Matt, you and I have worked a long time together, and thank you so very much for what the city schools does. And when we ask for help, you're right there always. And the fire department, I work with Chief with the CERT program all the time, and those folks do an outstanding job every time we try to have a class or training. They're right there with us. But again, thank you, and God bless everybody. Have a great night.
Yeah, I think it's all been said. Ditto what everybody said. Congratulations to everyone who's recognized tonight. Certainly, Mr. Routley, you're welcome anytime. But we thank you for everything you do also. All right, we are adjourned. Have a good evening.
911.
We've got a 911 board meeting, so you're certainly welcome to stick around for that. If not, we will get going as soon as we get everybody out of the room.